I pulled the door open and stepped into the restaurant. My coat still smelled like coffee. I'd been baking all morning Carter's favorite lemon pound cake, now boxed carefully in the car. I walked past the hostess stand, scanning the room. There they were. Back corner, table for 10. Laughter Candle's drinks already half gone. I waved. No one saw. I started walking over. Madison glanced up, then looked away. Carter didn't turn his head. I reached the table. No empty seat. "Hi," I said, forcing it light. "Scoot over a bit." They stared like I was the wrong guest at the wrong party. Madison said, "Oh, we didn't think you were coming?" Carter finally looked at me. Blank face. I told them not to set a place. The waitress appeared. Young, polite. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This table is at capacity." My mouth opened, then closed. I looked at my son. Still nothing. Not even a flicker of embarrassment. "I'll just stand," I said quietly. No, the waitress said, glancing nervously at Carter. "I'll check with the manager." She returned a moment later, not meeting my eye. "I'm afraid we can't accommodate. Would you like to wait at the bar?" They didn't stop her. No one stood up. No one offered their chair. "I'll go," I said. "Enjoy your dinner." I walked out without touching anyone. The cake stayed in the car. Back home, I sat in the dark. Shoes still on. Coat half buttoned. The silence pressed in. My phone buzzed. One text from Carter. "Don't call or come over. We're done." I stared at it. Read it twice. Then typed 2 words. "Got it." I hit send. Then turned the phone face down and went to boil water. The kettle hissed. I poured it out. Forgot the coffee grounds. Just water in a mug. Steam rose. My hands shook. But I didn't cry. I didn't call. I didn't ask why. Instead, I walked to the hall closet and pulled out a box I hadn't opened in years. Inside, envelopes. Tax receipts. A single manila folder marked Brandt, House Transfer Draft. The folder slid open with a dry scrape. Inside, my signature. But Carter's still missing. I leaned back in the chair, listened to the wind tap against the window, then reached for the envelope labeled Utilities, Carter, 2019. I deleted the thread, blocked the number, then unblocked it, left it alone. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't ask why. The next morning, I swept the kitchen floor. Not because it was dirty, because my hands needed to move. The kettle boiled. I poured added coffee, sat at the end of the table. 1 plate, 1 mug, 1 fork. Across from me, an empty chair. I'd always sat there on Sundays. Same chair, same sun slicing through the blinds. Carter used to sit across from me with half a banana and his socks mismatched. I'd butter his toast, cut it into squares even when he was too old for it. Now, the chair sat stiff and quiet, like it knew. My phone buzzed. Not him. Not Madison. It was a link. Group text. From someone I barely remembered. A neighbor, no message. Just the link. I clicked it. A live stream. Carter and Madison's baby shower. I turned off the volume, watched them laugh as they opened gifts. She held up tiny shoes. He kissed her cheek. Guests clapped. Her sister handed them a wrapped box. From Aunt Clara, someone typed in the comments. I blinked. That box, I recognized the ribbon. I'd bought it, wrapped it, paid for what was inside. My name wasn't mentioned. I turned the phone over face down on the table. The lights in the kitchen were too bright. By noon, I'd gathered the gift receipts. I stapled them to the bank statements, put them in an envelope, labeled it in black ink crib plus stroller, $1 219 May. Then I did the same with the HVAC repair bill, the utility top-up, the deposit on the backyard landscaping. Carter said he'd cover soon. The printer jammed halfway through a page. I didn't fix it. I left the half page hanging there like a breath I wouldn't finish. That night I went through old photos, scanned some, tossed the rest. The albums had too many birthdays with frosting on Carter's nose, too many shots of me behind the camera, never in front. I found one frame with the three of us, me, Carter, and Madison. It was a Christmas shot. I was holding a plate of food. She was holding Carter's hand. I looked like the hired help. I took the photo out, slid in a new one, a landscape print of the coast, no faces, just water and sky. By midnight, I'd packed up every framed picture of their wedding, boxed them tight, sealed them, marked the box attic, irrelevant. I sat back down at the table. Same mug, cold coffee. The live stream had ended. I refreshed once, twice. Someone had posted a recap reel, quick clips of them dancing, opening more gifts. In the middle, Carter holding up a sign, our baby, our home, our future. The shot panned out. The backyard behind them, the patio I built, the chairs I bought. I turned off the screen, got up, walked to the hall closet, pulled out the original closing documents. The deed was still under my name. Their signatures were missing. I slid it into a folder and wrote one word on the front mine. I parked 2 houses down, killed the engine, waited a moment. Lights were off inside, curtains drawn. A balloon string still floated on the porch rail, pink and silver. I stepped out, holding the package tight. Neutral wrapping paper, no tag, no note. Just a small box with a folded baby blanket inside. Handmade, white with gray edging. I'd stayed up 2 nights finishing the stitches. My fingers still ached. I climbed the steps, placed the box beside the door, straightened it, walked back to the car. No door creaked. No voice called out. I drove away before anyone saw. The next morning I made coffee and opened my laptop. I didn't check messages. Just habit-clicked Facebook. First post on my feed. Madison, photo grid. 12 smiling guests. Table full of gifts. Madison holding the blanket. Caption. Feeling overwhelmed by all the love. Thank you to everyone who made this possible, especially Carter's Aunt Elaine, our angel. I stared at the screen. Elaine. Elaine hadn't seen Carter in 2 years. Elaine lived in Arizona. I clicked the photo again. Zoomed in on the blanket. Same stitches. Same gray trim. I walked to the desk, pulled out the receipt for the yarn, stapled it to a printout of the post, labeled it Gift, Octi 14, $82. Then I made a new folder, marked the tab Rewritten. My coffee had gone cold. I drank it anyway. Later that afternoon, I went through my bank app, clicked through each transaction from the last 6 months. Nursery furniture, online registries, grocery deliveries. I'd sent over 20 transfers. Not once had anyone said thank you. I'd chalked it up to stress, pregnancy, distraction. But now I saw it. I wasn't invisible. I was being edited out. Their version of the story had no room for me. At dinner, I ate on the couch. No TV. Just the soft tick of the wall clock. I opened the family group chat. Scrolled up. All the messages from me were still there. Birthday wishes. Appointment reminders. Photos of the crib I helped assemble. Responses. One-liners. Thumbs up. Madison had left the group a month ago. Carter hadn't typed a word since July. I closed the app. Turned off the phone. In the hallway, I passed the framed family photo again. Carter had been 21. Just home from college. Madison wore that green dress she loved. I'd bought that dress. I lifted the frame off the nail, opened the back, slid the photo out, folded it once then again, dropped it in the kitchen trash. The frame stayed empty. Before bed, I opened the closet safe, removed a manila envelope I hadn't touched in 3 years. Inside. Original mortgage paperwork, bank drafts, property tax history. A certified check I never cashed Madison had written it when they first moved in. A symbolic gesture, she'd said. The check bounced. I put everything back, locked the safe. Then I wrote a list. Names, dates, purchases, comments I hadn't forgotten. I titled the page, Credit Claimed. Then I turned off the light, lay down, and waited for morning to come. I peeled potatoes, chopped celery, checked the pie crust. The turkey was thawed. Wine breathing on the counter. Napkins folded sharp beside the plates, 4 of them. I set the table without thinking. Just like every year. Muscle memory. The phone rang. I wiped my hands. Answered. "Hi, Corliss," she said, voice tight. "I just wanted to... Well, Madison asked me to reach out. She thought maybe this year, just for now, it'd be better if you sat Thanksgiving out. No hard feelings. Just trying to keep things light." I didn't answer. She said it's nothing personal. Just wants everyone to enjoy the day. Click. I stood still. Phone still in hand. The stuffing mix was open on the counter, the foil tray already lined. I turned off the oven, unplugged the roaster, pushed the turkey back into the fridge. I picked up the plates, stacked them one by one, put them back in the cabinet. The cranberry sauce went into the sink, the bottle of wine into a jar. I screwed on the lid, labeled it unused, Novias. Then I sat, quiet, still wearing my apron. I opened the file box from the night before, the one labeled Legal Control, unchanged, slid it aside, started a new folder Thanksgiving, 2023, printed my bank records, fridge Home Depot, $1.643, paid in full, Carter's car loan, 3 transfers totaling $9,000 down payment wire, $14,500, all mine, all ignored. I added each page, labeled them in pen, punched holes, clipped them into place. Then I pulled out the deed again, double-checked the name. Still mine, still standing. That evening, I opened Facebook. Madison had posted a story. Long table, tall candles, matching sweaters, Carter carving the turkey. Caption, "Grateful for the family we built." No mention of me, no place setting left behind, just a clean, perfect table. I watched it twice, then powered the phone off. In the hallway closet, I found the envelope from their wedding registry. I'd sent $2,000. That check had cleared. I had the receipt. I added it to the folder. Then one by one, I pulled everything together. House payments, receipts, closing papers, and clipped them under a new label. They forgot. I flipped on the desk light, spread out the documents. Cross-referenced dates, amounts, timestamps. Each one said the same thing I gave. They erased. I closed the file, reached for the next stack labeled Utilities. I yanked the bottom drawer too far and everything tipped forward. Paper spilled. Rubber bands snapped. A pencil rolled under the chair. I pushed the folders back and saw it wedged in the back corner, dusty and dented. The metal filing box. I pulled it out. The handle stuck. The latch scraped my hand. Still locked. Combination was easy. Carter's birthday. Same code I'd used since he was 8. The latch popped. Inside, everything smelled faintly of ink and iron. I flipped past old tax forms, expired insurance, then stopped. House, transfer, 2020 draft. The folder was thin, just 3 pages. The draft contract sat on top. Black text. Legal tone, standard language. Transfer of custodial rights pending full ownership exchange. My signature, neat, confident. Carter's line empty. No signature, no date, no witness. Behind it, 2 property tax statements, billed to Corliss Thurbrant. Paid in full. My account. My name. They'd never filed the change. I checked the notarization page. Only one party had shown up. Me. I kept flipping. Found the deed. The original, not the scanned copy. Recorded 5 years ago. Sole owner Corliss Eisbrandt. No amendments, no lien, no joint ownership. All this time, I hadn't transferred anything. I sat back. Let it sink in. They moved in. Renovated. Repainted. Added furniture. Changed curtains. Even told people the house was theirs. But it wasn't. They never paid me. Never filed papers. Never asked again. They'd assumed. Taken. Acted like it was done. And I'd let them. Because I thought love looked like surrender. I laid everything out on the desk. One stack for proof of payment, one stack for ownership, another for communications texts, emails, messages with veiled threats, and empty apologies. I labeled the last one, silence. The screen of my laptop glowed across the room. I opened the county records page, typed in the parcel number, one result. Current owner Corliss Y, Brant mortgage non-tax status active and current. I refreshed the page, same result. They hadn't even tried to take it legally. They just acted like it was theirs. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. Then I clicked print. Every page, every document, one after the next. I made a new binder. On the cover, I wrote one word, undisputed. Then I picked up the envelope labeled Utilities, Carter, 2021, and slid it into the next divider. I called Greg twice, left a short message, just said I was checking in. No reply. Greg and Carter had been close since middle school. Used to call me Mom Number 2 when they stayed over, covered in sweat and dirt from soccer. Now, nothing. Not even a hope you're well. I checked the text thread. My last 3 messages seen. No answer. I scrolled back. The last time he replied was 6 months ago, thanking me for helping Carter get the down payment. Back then, he'd said you saved them. Now I wasn't even worth a call. I tried Susan next. My niece, my sister's girl. We'd always been close. Used to meet for lunch, send each other articles, laugh about family drama that wasn't ours. This time, she answered. Warm at first, then careful. I told her things had been quiet, that Carter hadn't returned my messages, that I'd been left out of Thanksgiving. She paused, then said, Well, Madison's trying to keep things peaceful. She's building something beautiful, Aunt Corliss. Maybe it's just best to give them space. I didn't respond. She added softer. It's not personal. You know how families shift when babies come. Priorities change. I thanked her for answering, hung up, sat still. The words kept repeating. She's building something beautiful, as if I was the storm. I opened my email, searched for old threads, renovation plans, payment requests, budget files I'd sent when they moved in. My name wasn't on any of them now. I checked Carter's social media. He'd changed his bio. Proud husband, future dad, building our dream from the ground up. There was nothing of me. No trace, no tags, no memory. I checked the old family group chat. Dead for months. Most of them had moved to the new one Madison made Brant Family Circle. I wasn't in it. I clicked on Madison's page. Latest post, a photo of their hallway, framed art lining the walls. Caption, Every corner holds a piece of our love story. Grateful we get to build this life, just us. 37 comments, one from Susan. So proud of you, Mads. It's your season. I closed the app, turned off the phone, walked to the shelf and pulled down the old albums. Carter's first steps, his first bike, his college acceptance. All mine. I'd taken every photo, paid for every frame. Now I didn't exist. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out the flash drive marked Home Videos, digitized and dropped it into a padded envelope, labeled it with the date, not to send, just to seal. Then I reached for the yellow folder marked Utilities, 2021, and flipped to the last unpaid bill I'd cleared for them. Carter never even asked. Just said, The system glitched again. Can you spot us? He hadn't said thank you. I filed it, labeled the tab unreturned. Then I pulled out the contact sheet for the lawyer I hadn't called in years. I clicked the link without thinking. It came from Lorna, a former coworker. No message, just the URL. It opened straight to video. Madison's voice first. Laughing, smooth, practiced, a garden party. Champagne flutes, string lights, people clapping in the background. My backyard, the pavers I paid for, the roses I planted. The fountain Carter said was too extra, now glowing with soft uplighting. The caption at the bottom read, "Blessed beyond measure. Our forever home." I didn't move. The shot panned wide, Carter in a navy shirt, smiling. He raised his glass, said something I couldn't hear. On his wrist, the gold watch I gave him for his 30th birthday. The one I engraved. "Build your own time, love, Mom." He never mentioned it afterward. Just slipped it on and walked out. I turned the volume up. A woman asked, "How'd you pull this off?" "This is like a resort," Madison answered, bright and breathless. "Hard work. Lots of sacrifice. We did this together from the ground up." They toasted. No one mentioned help. No one mentioned history. I pulled out the maintenance bills for the garden irrigation system. $800 new lawn. Install $1,400 lighting, $200 to $200. All charged to me. I filed them under stolen joy. The live stream moved inside. Kitchen shining. Guests sipping wine at the island. I'd refinished myself back when they still spoke to me. Someone asked, "Will you expand the nursery when baby number 2 comes?" Madison laughed. "We're thinking about it. It's ours now, we can do anything." The camera turned. A wide angle of the living room. My painting still hung above the fireplace, the one my sister painted before she passed. I stood, walked to the cabinet, pulled out the small claim ticket from the art restoration shop, dated before they moved in. They'd promised to keep it safe. They hadn't asked if they could keep it. I paused the video, stared at the frame. The corner was cracked. They'd called this their home. Their forever. But the title was still mine. The taxes were still mine. The repairs, the mortgage, the upgrades mine. They built nothing. I picked up the phone, typed Carter's number, then deleted it. I didn't want to lie. I wanted a record. I opened a blank document and began to type. Date, time, URL of the live stream. Screenshot of Carter's wrist. Transcript of their words. Caption, verbal claim to ownership, NUV 25. I printed 3 copies, filed one under evidence, mailed one to my lawyer's office, slipped the 3rd into a binder labeled Foundation. Then I walked outside, stood at the edge of my porch, looked toward the dark garden that used to be mine. Their party was long over. The lights were still on. I could see silhouettes moving behind the blinds. Inside, I imagined them pouring wine, thanking guests, toasting again, maybe laughing at how well they'd pulled it off. I turned away, locked the door behind me. Then I took the checkbook from my desk drawer and wrote a single line across the top page. Freeze all future transfers. I typed the message fast. No greeting, no apology, just one line, just confirming if the house title was finalized, sent. I waited. 10 minutes, 20, a full hour. Nothing. Then my phone lit. Carter, why are you acting like this? Stop trying to start trouble. I read it twice. 3 times. My hand tightened around the phone. Trouble. That's what he called it. I walked to the cabinet, opened the binder labeled Undisputed, and laid out the papers. Deed in my name. Taxes in my name. Draft transfer unsigned. Trouble wasn't mine. Still, my chest ached. He'd written it like I was a stranger, like my caution was a weapon. I remembered when he used to ask me to double-check everything, loan applications, bank forms, even his college housing. Mom, just make sure I didn't miss anything, he'd say. Now a simple question was betrayal. I didn't reply. I printed the text screenshot and timestamp and slid it into the binder. Labeled the divider response, defensiveness. I brewed coffee, let it burn my tongue, stood at the sink, staring at the dark yard. The phone buzzed again. Another text. You need to trust us. Madison and I know what we're doing. Trust. I'd trusted them with my savings, with my credit, with the home itself. Trust had been the rope I handed over strand by strand until it looped tight around my own neck. I set the phone down, let it vibrate. Each buzz a pulse in the silence. Later that night, I opened an email draft, addressed to Wade Barnes, the attorney I hadn't spoken to in years. I wrote one line. I may need a consultation regarding property rights. I didn't send it. Not yet, but I left it open. At midnight, another message came. If you keep digging like this, people will think you're unstable. Do you want that? I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Unstable. The word cut deeper than any silence. That was how they'd erase me, not just from the house, but from my own credibility. I shut off the phone. Then I took the checkbook from the drawer and tore out the next scheduled payment stub. Gas, electricity, water. All in my name. All covered by me. I tore them clean down the middle and dropped them in the trash. For years, I had been the quiet hand keeping everything upright. Invisible scaffolding. They thought they'd built the house, but it was my spine holding the beams. I locked the binder, set it back in the cabinet, then pulled out a fresh envelope and wrote across the front in black marker, next step. I opened the printer, replaced the ink, loaded the paper, started with the oldest transfer, Carter's car loan, June 2020. 3 wires, 1 check, all from my account. I printed the statements, clipped them together, slipped them into a white envelope, labeled the front Carter Brandt, Auto, 2020-2021 Next Nursery Furniture. 4 online orders, all shipped to their address. Diaper service, groceries, medicine refills during Madison's 3rd trimester. Printed every receipt, labeled each one by month. Slid them into the second envelope, Madison Fields, living expenses, prenatal period, then the fridge, the down payment, the backyard lighting, the water heater they forgot to mention until the pipes froze. Each entry got its own packet, neatly stacked, dated, indexed. The pile grew, 8 envelopes, then 12. I wrote only names and years. No commentary. No notes. The fax didn't need dressing. I moved to utilities. Carter had called it a glitch when the power bill came in red. I'd paid it, of course. Just once, I told myself. Then again. And again. By the time I stopped, I'd paid 18 months of power, gas, and internet. No one had offered to reimburse me. No one had even asked if I'd noticed. I had. I printed them all, filed them under household, unacknowledged. At the bottom of the drawer, I found a faded invoice from their wedding photographer. They were short 2 weeks before the ceremony. Carter had asked if I could cover the rest, just to keep things smooth. I had. $1, $200. Never mentioned again. I added it to an envelope labeled wedding, discretionary gift, unreciprocated. I didn't cry. I didn't pace. I worked like a clerk, focused firm, the kind of quiet you only earn after years of noise. By nightfall, the dining table was full. 17 envelopes. All white. All sealed. I didn't mail a single one. I placed them in a fireproof lockbox and slid it under the bed. Then I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. Column A, description. Column B, amount. Column C, beneficiary. Column D, proof attached. YN, column E, status. Sent, withheld. Every row lined up. Clean. Documented. Mine. I scrolled through it. Highlighted totals. Formatted the cells. Saved the file under a new name, retained leverage, draft 1. I backed it up twice. One on the cloud, one on a spare USB drive. I labeled the drive in pen, slid it into a Ziploc, placed it inside the back of the dictionary Carter once gave me for Christmas. Then I shut off the light, sat with my coffee, listened to the stillness. The proof was there now, not spoken, not sent, but ready. And in the morning, I would open the next drawer. I drove to the courthouse, parked behind the building. No appointment. No warning. The records clerk wore glasses too big for her face. Smiled politely when I gave her the parcel number. Just verifying ownership, I said. Routine. She typed slow and steady, waited for the screen to load, then still listed under Corliss I. Brandt. No transfers filed, no liens. You're good. She offered to print a certified copy. I nodded, paid the $10 in cash. I held the paper in both hands, thick stock, embossed seal, fresh black ink over old facts. Sole owner. Recorded August 3rd, 2019. No change. I thanked her. Walked out. Sat in the car with the engine off. They never filed it. No new deed? No amendment? No refinance? Just entitlement. I drove home slowly. Windows down. Paper on the passenger seat like a passenger itself. At home, I laid it next to the printout from the county website. Side by side. One screen, one seal. Same answer. I pulled out my notes, compared dates. They'd moved in October 2020, over 2 years now. Claimed it, changed it, held parties in it, branded it theirs, but never once made it legal. I opened the binder labeled Undisputed and slid the certified deed into the front pocket. Then I turned to the spreadsheet. Scrolled to the bottom. Final column. Ownership status. Verified. I typed confirmed. I made a copy. Emailed it to myself. Forwarded another to Wade Barnes with the subject line, "Now we begin." Didn't explain. Didn't attach a message. I placed the lockbox of envelopes in the closet. Not buried, not hidden. Right in front. Visible. Present. I'd given them years to correct the story. Time to pay what they owed. Time to return the dignity they took. They hadn't. So I made a call. Not to Carter, not to Madison, to a realtor. Someone I'd worked with before. Quiet. Precise. Discreet. I asked a simple question. What would the market pay for a 3-bed, 2-bath in our neighborhood, owned outright, no mortgage? She paused, gave me the number. I wrote it down, circled it, folded it in half. Then I took the photo off the fridge. The one of Carter holding the baby. Taped it to the back of the paper. Placed both in a new envelope. Labeled it Option A. I didn't seal it. I left it open. Just enough to breathe. Then I walked outside, looked toward the lights still glowing from their windows across the yard, and poured my coffee into the grass. I slid the folder across the table. Thick. Indexed. Labeled. Wade Barnes didn't smile. Didn't comment. Just opened it, page by page. He wore a gray shirt, no tie. Yellow legal pad at his elbow. Pen never stopped moving. He didn't ask why I came. He didn't need to. 15 minutes in, he looked up. You kept everything I did. He nodded once. Kept reading. Every receipt. Every transfer. Every envelope. When he reached the property documents, he paused. Held the certified deed in both hands. Then looked back at the draft contract, the one with only my signature. They never filed, he asked. No. He tapped his pen twice, then wrote something I couldn't see. Turned the page. When he got to the photos, the party, the watch, the caption calling it ours, he stopped writing altogether. They've made public claims, he said. Repeatedly. That helps. I watched him work. Calm, measured, never once interrupting with pity. I hated pity. He flipped to the last tab, the spreadsheet. Scanned the totals. $314,000, he said. Roughly. He closed the binder. Set his pen down. Sat back. They'll never see it coming. I nodded. Good. He reached for a fresh sheet of paper. You have two main options. We can start with a cease and desist paired with a property notice. Or we skip the warning. No warning, I said. His pen moved again. Fast. Focused. We'll need to pull utility records under your name, issue a quiet title action, and prepare for an ownership affirmation. I'm ready. Would you prefer this stays private? Or are you willing to go public? I met his eyes. I want it to be undeniable. He nodded once. Then we prepare both paths. He didn't ask why I'd waited. He didn't scold me for giving too much. He understood the math of betrayal. Line by line, we scheduled the next meeting. He asked for digital copies of everything. I had them on a flash drive labeled and dated. Before I left, he handed me a yellow binder empty, but with my name across the front. For what comes next, he said. I took it. Outside, the air had shifted. Colder. Lighter. Like the silence had somewhere else to go. I didn't go home right away. I drove past their house. No lights on. Porch empty. The same swing set I'd paid for leaned against the fence. The roses I planted were gone, replaced by stones, sterile, posed. I parked, stayed inside the car, then opened the yellow binder and slid in the first page, Strategy, Phase 1. Tomorrow, Wade would file the first document. Tonight, I'd pull the records for the fridge. The message came at 9:43 a.m. Madison, cheerful as ever. Hi, Corliss. Hope you're well. We're expanding, adding a nursery wing. Just something modest, but it would really mean a lot if you could help. $5,000 would get us over the line. Let me know. No, please. No, thank you. Just expectation wrapped in emoji. I stared at the screen for a long time. No anger, no surprise. Just the slow, quiet weight of the obvious. I opened the bank app. Scheduled to transfer. $5,000. Routing confirmed. In the memo line, I left it blank. No note. No gift for Carter. No nursery. Nothing to mislabel. Then I took a screenshot. Printed it. Filed it in the yellow binder new tab, labeled Requested, Complied. No acknowledgement I dated the page. Wrote in the corner, Obedience for record. Then I went back and checked my last 5 transfers. Grocery drop-offs, utility gaps, bridging money for renovations, all initiated by them. None requested by voice, just short, smiling texts. I printed those too, highlighted the amounts, underlined the phrases. Just until Friday. It's temporary, we'll reimburse soon. We'd be so grateful. They never reimbursed. Never mentioned them again. This time, I wouldn't remind them. I slid the flash drive into my laptop and added a line to the master ledger. Date John 3. Amount $5,000. Reason nursery edition proof message attached response. None pending. Then I backed it up, closed the drive, slid it back into the dictionary spine where it lived now. I walked to the mailbox, dropped a letter to Wade inside, included the fresh payment copy, a note, latest example of active expectation. Then I returned to the kitchen, brewed a new cup, sat down without sugar. It had always gone like this. A smile, a ask, a silence, a next ask. I thought about the word wing, a nursery wing, not a crib, not a room, a structure, in a house that didn't belong to them, funded by a mother they erased. I opened their Instagram out of curiosity, scrolled to Madison's latest story, a mood board of colors, textures, renderings, one caption, building a space full of love. All ours. I screenshot that too, filed it under claim versus funding source. I didn't respond to her message. No confirmation, no heart emoji back. The money would land. Quietly, just like always. Only this time, it came with silence, sharpened to a point. That evening, Wade's assistant emailed back. Got the latest documentation. Tracking all active contributions. We're building a complete narrative. That's all I needed to hear. I marked the yellow binders tab with a red sticker. Trigger point initiated. Then I walked to the cabinet, opened the envelope labeled Next, and slipped the nursery receipt inside. I arrived 15 minutes early, parked down the block, wiped my hands twice on my dress, adjusted the ribbon on the box, then carried the quilt inside, folded tight, wrapped in paper. I ironed myself. Their living room was staged for photos, Balloons, pastel streamers, cupcakes stacked like trophies. A sign read, "Welcome, baby Brant." No mention of family, no mention of me. I stepped inside, smiled, nodded, avoided looking at the mantel where the photo I'd taken of Carter in kindergarten used to sit. Now, a black and white maternity shot stood in its place. Madison cradling her belly. Carter behind her face, blurred by flash. Corliss, someone said. Not Madison, not Carter. A friend of theirs, I didn't know her name. I thanked her, set the gift down carefully, made small talk with whoever looked polite enough. Laughed once, quietly, enough to pass. I didn't sit. I stood in the back, sipping sparkling water from a plastic flute. Carter never came over. Madison did. Once the games were done, gifts, half-opened cameras still circling. She leaned close, fake smile, wide voice low. "We almost didn't invite you, but look." She gestured out at the guests you behaved. I didn't blink. I nodded once. That's what I was now. A potential disruption. A risk to be managed. She picked up the quilt. Held it up. The room clapped politely. "From Carter's mom," she said. Not my name, not my mom. No one looked twice. I watched her fold it, stuff it back in the box, and move on to the next gift. Something off a registry wrapped in store ribbon. The performance resumed. I applauded. I smiled. I stood near the doorway. Before I left, I walked to the table and slid a card under the gift. A note inside, handwritten. One sentence. I stitched this with the same hands that once stitched his Halloween costume. He cried when the mask came off. I didn't say goodbye. I walked out. Quiet. Clean. In the car, I exhaled. Turned on the engine. Didn't drive. Instead, I opened the glove box. Pulled out the envelope labeled Event, Observation 1. I wrote on the back, no eye contact. No acknowledgement. Hostile grace. Madison's statement. We almost didn't invite her. Witnessed by guest at 3:40 p.m. Gift downplayed. Carter silent. I slid it back into place. Drove home. Removed my shoes at the door. Unzipped the dress and hung it back in the closet. Same one I wore to his graduation. That night I uploaded the photo Madison had posted, the one where I was cropped in the background standing near the punch bowl. Caption. Thank you all for the love. Family showed up big today. No tag. No mention. I saved it anyway. Printed it. Filed it in the yellow binder under visibility. Edited presents. Then I opened a blank page and titled it Phase 2, Readiness. Carter walked in holding a manila folder. We're refinancing, he said. Like it was nothing. Just need Mom to sign this so the lender clears the deed issue. Super routine. Madison poured wine. Smiled like a hostess on television. A few of their friends sat around the kitchen island, laughing softly, half listening. He slid the paper toward me. Just here, he said, tapping the signature line. It's all boilerplate. You're not being removed or anything, just confirming your original intent. Should have been handled months ago. I glanced at the page. Notarization line empty. No return address. Just legal jargon dressed up to look casual. He brought a pen. Held it out like a peace offering. I took it. Signed slowly. Then smiled. Thanks, Mom, he said. He kissed my cheek like it still meant something. I reached into my bag, pulled out an envelope. Thick, white, sealed. Give this a read on Monday, I said. Alone. He looked at it half curious. What is it? A response. He laughed, light, uneasy. His friends turned their heads, sensing the shift. Madison's hand tightened around her glass. You're being dramatic, she said. I stood, adjusted my coat, took one last look at the walls, the hallway, the rug I'd chosen and paid for, the scent of vanilla they always used when company came over. On the way out, I passed the new nursery wing, paint still fresh, crib unassembled, blue tape on the baseboards, My money in every inch of it. I didn't touch anything. Didn't look back. At home, I texted Wade, "It's done. They have the decoy. The real notice is in motion." He replied in under a minute. "Perfect. Title action will be filed by 9:00 a.m. Monday, we're locked in." I placed a copy of the fake document in the yellow binder under their version, then slid in a printed copy of what Carter would receive. Monday morning. Notice of quiet title. Filing claimant Corliss, I. Brant, concerning parcel ID 893144. Basis retained sole ownership, unfiled. Transfer unauthorized occupancy. I read it once. Steady. Final. Then I opened the next tab in the binder and labeled it Phase 3. Exposure. I stood on the porch before they turned the corner. New locks gleamed in the morning sun. The front lawn was freshly edged. My realtor's sign leaned against the railing, ready for her to plant it. Wade's assistant arrived early. Hand-delivered copies of the filing notarized and sealed. My name. My deed. My right. At 8:12 a.m., their car rolled up. Madison was laughing, window down, sunglasses on. Carter had his hand on the wheel, music playing low. Weekend bags piled in the back seat. Then he saw the woman in the driveway and the neighbors beside her. They slowed, stopped short. Madison's door flung open first. "What the hell is this?" Carter followed. "Why is there a sign? Mom, what are you doing?" The neighbors stood quietly. Two couples, one man with a dog. No one spoke. The realtor nodded at me, clipboard in hand. "Photographers scheduled at 10. I'll do the walkthrough after this." Madison turned to me. "This is a joke, right?" I said nothing. Just handed Carter the envelope. He opened it, fast hands shaking, read 2 lines, then looked up. "You filed a title claim." I did. "You said that paper I gave you was a decoy." He stared at me, red in the face, confused, wounded but not surprised. "You're selling," he said, voice cracking. "Yes." Madison stepped in. "You can't just kick us out." "I'm not." "You were never in." She opened her mouth again, but I raised my hand. "I let you stay. I covered your bills. I kept it quiet, and you built your brand on my silence." Carter looked at the realtor. "You don't have a right to do this. This is our home." The realtor pointed to the documents on her clipboard. "Legally, it's not." The dog barked once. The man beside him muttered, "Jesus," under his breath. Madison's voice pitched higher. "We're pregnant. This is where we live. You can't just erase that." "You erased me," I said. "I'm just returning the favor." Carter stepped forward, quieter now. "Can we talk inside?" "No. You no longer have keys." He reached for his phone. "Call whoever you want," I said. I filed the quiet title Friday. Wade sent the notice. "Your name's not on the deed." Never was. Madison's sunglasses slipped. She didn't fix them. A gust of wind knocked over one of their weekend bags. It spilled onto the gravel. Diapers. A small, stuffed bear. A book I'd given Carter when he turned 6. I looked at the bear. Faded. Flattened. Then turned away. The realtor posted the sign in the lawn. "For sale, by owner, inquire within." The neighbors dispersed. Quiet. Unsure what they'd just seen. Carter still held the envelope. Hands limp now. Madison backed toward the car, muttering under her breath. I stepped down the porch steps, walked past them, clipped the lockbox to the front door, then opened my clipboard. Initial showings start Thursday. The first ping came before noon. Carter. "What the hell are you doing?" I set the phone face down. Went back to sorting the signed pages Wade had couriered over. Another ping. "You're embarrassing us. This is beyond cruel." I slid each notarized sheet into a protective sleeve, labeled the binder tab, quiet title, filed, then a third ping. Longer this time. Madison. A voice note. I pressed play once. Her voice filled the room, high-pitched, broken, sobbing. "How could you? We trusted you. We let you in. You're tearing apart your own grandchild's future. Do you even care? Do you even love us? I let it finish. Didn't replay. Instead, I dropped the audio file into a folder on my desktop. Emotional leverage, documented. The group chat went wild after that. Relatives I hadn't heard from in months popped up. Cousins, in-laws, a chorus of shock. Corliss, is this true? Why are you selling their house? Please just talk to them. Not one asked why my name was still on the deed. I didn't type, didn't defend. At 2:15 p.m., Wade's assistant joined the thread. His number listed his title beneath, on behalf of Ms. Brandt. All questions regarding property ownership and financial contributions may be directed to my office. Please refrain from personal messages. Legal process is underway. The chat froze. Then Carter exploded. You got a lawyer involved against your own son. Another minute. You're choosing strangers over family. You'll regret this. Madison fired back with paragraphs rambling. Screenshots of their nursery mood board. Pictures of the baby clothes hanging in the unfinished wing. She captioned them with, "This is what she's destroying." My lawyer didn't respond. He didn't have to. The papers did. I sat at the kitchen table, binder open, sipping my coffee. Let the phone buzz across the wood. Each vibration softer than the last until it finally stilled. Evening fell. I checked again. A flood of unread messages. The last one from Carter, sent just after 6:00 p.m. You'll always be my mother. But after this, I'll never forgive you. I closed the app, then pulled the folder marked Next Action, Enforcement from the lockbox, slid it onto the table, opened it flat. Inside, copies of utility payments, bank transfers, receipts with my name. Proof already logged, already stacked. The phone stayed silent. The paperwork didn't. By morning, Wade would file the restraining notice. It started with one screenshot, a blurry image of a bank statement. My name, Madison's address, a wire transfer circled in red, then another, an invoice for the down payment, my signature, labeled Paid in Full, Corliss Eisbrandt. Someone posted them to Facebook quiet, almost nervous. The caption read, "If she really paid for all this, why'd they say she didn't? The niece did it. Elise, my sister's daughter. She'd been silent since the shower, too polite to take sides until now. I didn't ask how she got the files. Maybe she'd seen the envelopes on my table once. Maybe she'd gone digging. But she posted 4 screenshots total. Then she let the comments do the rest. The first wave was confusion. Wait, she covered their appliances. Didn't they say she wasn't involved? This makes no sense. Then anger. That house was hers. The whole time I feel sick. I donated to their baby fund. Someone tagged me. I didn't reply. I didn't even log in. I let the noise rise without me. 3 neighbors texted that afternoon. People who'd waved politely for years but never asked where I went. One said, "I'm so sorry. We had no idea." Another, "If you ever need help with the showings, let me know." I thanked them, briefly. That night, I found an email from my high school friend, Lynn. We hadn't spoken in 6 years. She wrote, "I just wanted to say I always knew you were the one holding everything together." I sat with that sentence for a while, then printed it, filed it under support, unsolicited. By Wednesday, Carter's tone had shifted. His texts weren't threats now. They were softer, confused. "Mom, can we just talk? Just us. This is all spinning out of control. I know you're hurt, but maybe we can fix it." Madison, meanwhile, doubled down. She posted a filtered selfie in the nursery with the caption, "When people try to tear you down, build something even more beautiful." No mention of me. No mention of whose money built the beams. But the comments weren't kind. That quilt in the crib, didn't his mom make that? So, did you ever pay her back? Funny how the woman who paid for the fridge is the one locked out. Madison turned off replies, then deleted the post. By Friday, even my sister called. We hadn't spoken in months. She sounded tired, hesitant. I didn't know the extent she said. I thought you were just overreacting. I didn't answer, just breathed. She added, if you ever want to talk, just talk, I'm here. I wrote her number down on a sticky note, placed it in the yellow binder. No label yet. I walked past their house once that weekend. The for sale sign was still standing, but the porch light was off. No party lights, no music. Their silence was starting to match mine. The version of me they'd built, the needy one, the bitter one, the difficult one, was unraveling. Not with a speech, not with revenge, just with proof. And in 3 days, the first showing was scheduled. He banged hard. 3 times. Then again. Then a fist against the frame. I watched it all from my phone. He was alone. No car in the driveway. He must have parked around the corner. Ball cap pulled low. Hoodie zipped up, hands stuffed in the pockets except when they flew out to pound. The doorbell camera caught everything. Mom, he shouted, open the door. No one else was home. Realtor gone. Photographer done. Wade's paperwork filed. The lockbox was still clipped to the knob. He jiggled it, then kicked lightly at the bottom of the door. Not enough to damage, just enough to show he still thought he had access. I know you're in there. I wasn't. I was 2 miles away. On my couch, coffee beside me, feet wrapped in a blanket, phone in hand. The camera audio picked up his breath. Quick, uneven. Can we talk? He said. Quieter now. Just 5 minutes. He stepped back, looked around as if to see if the street was watching. It was. Across the road, Mrs. Langston stood at her fence, pretending to pull weeds. The delivery guy 2 doors down lingered in his truck. The man with the dog paused on the sidewalk again. Carter turned back to the door. Please, he said. I just want to explain. I hit record. Saved the clip to my files. Filed it under attempted entry, emotional pressure. Witnessed I didn't move, didn't text, didn't speak. He pulled out his phone. Typed something. Seconds later it buzzed through. I'm sorry. A minute later this got out of hand. Madison's scared. We didn't think you'd actually... No second half, no finish. He stepped away again, hands on hips. Then sat on the porch step like he used to when he was 10 and locked himself out. But I wasn't coming to the door this time. The video kept rolling. He paced, texted, rubbed his eyes. At 9:12 a.m., he stood, looked at the door one last time, walked down the steps, didn't slam the gate, didn't look back. I saved the full footage, filed it again, then archived the text. Then I opened the envelope labeled Last Warnings, ignored, and slid the printouts inside. Outside, the wind picked up. The listing agent texted 10 minutes later. First showing, confirmed. Couple from Seattle. Love the photos. I wrote back one word, ready. Then I walked to the sink. Poured my cold coffee down the drain. Started the kettle again. I signed fast. 1 line, black ink. My hand didn't shake. The retired couple smiled from across the table. He wore a bolo tie. She had a small notebook in her lap, neat handwriting filling every page. Cash buyer, no contingencies, closing in 10 days. The realtor slid the papers into a stack. Congratulations, she said, cheerful, professional. I nodded, stood, shook hands. That was all. Outside, the air felt thinner, sharper, like the house had already released me. I drove back for the last time, parked in front. Didn't hurry, didn't stall, just walked through the rooms, each one stripped of meaning. The living room still smelled faintly of vanilla candles. The quilt I made lay folded on the crib. The art above the fireplace hung crooked, corner chipped. The rug under the coffee table still showed the faint mark where Carter spilled soda when he was 12. I didn't touch anything. I packed one box, just one, the lockbox of envelopes, the yellow binder, the flash drives, nothing else. I left the dishes in the cabinets, the furniture in place, even the curtains I'd bought on clearance years ago, back when I thought making a home together mattered. The fridge hummed, the one I'd paid for. Full of their groceries, their condiments, their drinks, I closed it softly. I walked upstairs. The nursery walls were still taped off in blue, the crib half assembled. A box of diapers stacked in the corner. I didn't step inside. In Carter's old room, the posters I'd once taped for him in high school were long gone. Just beige walls, empty shelves. I stood at the doorway a moment, then turned away. In the hall closet, my coat still hung where I left it once after helping paint. They'd never returned it. I pulled it down, folded it neatly, and laid it on top of the box. That was enough. At the door, I paused, my keys heavy in my hand. The original set brass worn smooth. I placed them on the counter, took a photo, slid the image into my binder, proof of release. Then I closed the door behind me. The sign in the yard tilted in the breeze. Sold. A neighbor waved tentative. I waved back. Calm, simple. I loaded the box into my trunk. Drove away slow. No music, no calls, no need. At a stoplight, I checked my phone. A message from Wade. Funds cleared, transfer final. You're free. Free. I read it twice, then put the phone down. The house shrank in the rear view, smaller with each block. By the time I hit the highway, it was gone. At home, I carried the single box inside, placed it on the table, opened it just once. Everything intact. Everything mine. Then I made coffee, sat in my chair, let the quiet settle. Tomorrow, the couple would get the keys. Tonight, I would sleep in my own place in peace. And in the morning, I'd pour that first cup into the mug waiting on the counter. I poured the coffee. Steam curled up slow. Sharp, bitter scent. No sugar, no cream, just hot and real. The mug felt heavy in my hand. White ceramic, wide lip, still mine. Black letters. No flourish, no apology. I stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked soft under my bare feet. New town, new air. Rented studio with a crooked window frame and ivy pushing through the fence. I didn't mind. Birds argued in the trees. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked like it had something to prove. I sat in the old wicker chair I found on clearance and pulled the blanket tight across my knees. No texts, no calls, no locks to change or alarms to check. Just breath. The box sat near the doorway unopened since the move. I knew what was inside yellow binder. Receipts, the signed contract, the photo of the keys. All of it quiet now. I took a sip. The silence didn't feel empty, it felt earned. No one watching, no one twisting words, no one calling it a betrayal when all it ever was letting go. I scrolled through my phone, paused on a message from my sister. Just thinking about you. Let me know if you want to talk. I starred it. Closed the app. Maybe I'd call her next week. Maybe I wouldn't. A breeze pushed through the trees. I watched the shadow of the leaves shake across the porch steps. There was no plan after this. No next move. And for the first time in years that felt like relief, I set the mug down. Still half full. Still mine. Then I reached over, grabbed a notepad, and wrote 3 words at the top of a blank page, start from here.